So how do we actually find an opportunity? How do we identify a business idea? Well, I would like to use the words of Sir Richard Branson. For those of you who don't know Richard Branson, he's the chairman and founder and CEO of the Virgin Group in the United Kingdom. He's a very well-known entrepreneur. He didn't come from a rich family. He started all his business by himself. How did he do it? Today, he has a kingdom called the Virgin Group, which has Megastore, which has Virgin Atlantic. So he's also in the aviation and even space travel, and money lending and train. So he's in many, many different businesses. How did he do it? So Richard Branson said, the way to identify a new business is we have to offer something better, fresher, and more valuable in the areas where the customer has traditionally received a poor deal. In other words, the competitor, whoever's serving the customer now, become complacent. He also said we need to deliver old product in a new way. But in order to do that, it has to be based on a lot of research. And last but not least, we have to put ourselves in the customer's shoes and think about what we could make better. If you think about it, what he said are, in other words, into three different categories. The first thing is, can we find a gap in the market? What's so-called the gap? Some people call them the pain point. What are the unmet needs? Someone who wants to have something, but the market does not provide yet. Or some of the customers who are currently underserved. So the service provider right now are not giving the customers what they really want. And we look for new ways of doing things. It could be a new way of delivering an old service, or it could be a completely new service altogether. But there are also other ways of finding opportunity, which is by looking and exploring the trends in the market. For example, in Asia, in China in particular, the aging population is a trend that we're very much experiencing now. Other trends include the environment is getting more polluted, so people will be looking at more environmental friendly ways of doing business, of using product. The mobile trend, again, is something that we are experiencing now. It will only accelerate. The trend of the Internet of Things, IoT, is very much happening now. But can we also identify the trend that will happen in the future? There must be some opportunity in terms of exploring the trend. In the example of aging population, surely we can produce more product for elderly. What sort of things would they need? In the example of environmental, we will need more green energy. We'll need more clean way of doing business. There must be a lot of opportunity there. So to summarize, to look for new opportunity, we look at the gap, the pain point. We look at new ways of doing things, and we explore the trend in the world and in the market. And if you want to validate the market, you have to think about the market size. How do you estimate a market size? Now, of course, the bigger the better of your market. But how do you approach and go about and try to estimate your market? Well, there are different ways of doing that. First of all, you can try a top-down approach. Now, in this approach, you simply look at what the analysts have already said. For example, a well-known industry. It will be covered by some banking analysts, investment bank, or industry analysts who have been looking at this market. They should be able to tell you, or they already have published reports, that talk about the total size of the market, who are the players in the market, and so on and so forth. When you look at these data, you have to think, how much market share can I get from this market as a new entrant? Is the market actually very fragmented, which means there are already many, many players? How much market share does each player has? Who are the biggest player, and how much market share do they have? Who is the smallest player, and how much market share the smallest player has? As a new entrant, how confident are you in order to get the market share from these competitors? In 1 year time, in 2 years time, or 3 years time, would you be the dominating player? How much market share can you realistically get? For the bottom-up approach, you really have to go back to the basic. Think about the product or the service that you are selling. How much people are willing to pay for that? Do you have a benchmark pricing? Your competitors are selling at what price? And how often does your customer repeat their sales? Would they come back next month? Would they come back tomorrow? And also, how many times do they buy in a year? If you multiply all that, that should give you roughly the spending per customer. And you also have to estimate how many customers you get in a year. And that will give you your annual revenue. You just have to keep trying to use different methods, whether it's top-down, whether it's bottom-up. And in doing so, you are triangulating an estimate of your market share or your revenue. If these triangulations roughly agree with each other, then you probably have a good estimate.